You must release your old self. That is what we each do every single day if we hope to evolve or ascend or move to the next level of who we're meant to become in this life. We each come into the world with a blueprint, a plan, something we're meant to fulfill. And it is an ascension journey that we each go on. That's what I call it. So I'm going to talk about it in that way. But it's also something that is so aligned and organized in the universe. We just don't always understand that. I didn't understand it either, except when I start to see the alignment, then I'm going to share it with people. And that's the message that I received on June 22nd, this date. That's what it is today in 24, but I received it in 2022. And I'm going to read it to you because it'll make much more sense, as I want people to understand what they might be experiencing now and what is happening in our world. We all know that it's changed over these last several years, and we're questioning what's happening. But I want to share this with you. And a lot of this will probably be so much more important for the people who are in my work and my program. And this is why I'm really doing all of this. And this is the message. You must release your old self. We mean both you and your world, for you are moving through a restructuring. You were born to live a life of joy, happiness, and abundance. The only reason you would not have those attributes in your life now is you have disowned a part of yourself or judged yourself in some way that would not have you own your purpose. Everything we gave you in our work was to help you move through this period. And the person you wanted, who wanted it the most, was Roger. We will provide you with a story, and you will find a part of yourself within his. We have said Roger has precognitive abilities and is empathetic and highly sensitive. There are many others in your world with those qualities, and you refer to them as light workers, healers, star seeds, and various other names that Roger could not own. Then he had a family meeting last night because they are concerned about him. For, as we have said, he continually gives away to others and does not take care of himself. But his family also represented a challenge for him to own his gift. He has had a disconnection from physical and material things, but he must restructure that behavior within himself. Otherwise, he cannot help those he knows will want his help moving forward in your world. Yesterday, our live conversation talked about impossibilities, for we knew many of you would find yourself examining your lives and the world and believe they were impossible to change. Then we told him to find the message we gave on this date in 2013 and place it here. As you study this entire message, you will gain clarity to make changes in your life, as will Roger. You will be fine. Every unhappiness you are experiencing in your physical life is your fault. That statement was meant to shock you and get your attention. It is not to assign blame necessarily, but for you to actually accept responsibility. You may argue that your unhappiness is caused by another, a particular situation, or something that has happened to you. The fact is, no matter what it is, you can change it. If you continue giving away that responsibility to another, you indeed have no choice or ability to change it. When you accept it as your fault, as it were, now you also regain your power. The choices you currently have are either change your perception so that you no longer have the feeling of unhappiness, or take some physical actions to change the direction of your very own life experience. It is also important to remember that in this process, you will continually confront the tendency to shift blame to something else, which will throw you off your desired course of action. And that information we can see is very, very true. Now, when I first receive it, I don't always understand it, but it begins integrated into who I am, and that's why I can give it to so many others. But this goes on. I'm going to do it a little bit more today because I have to be completely transparent and vulnerable because I'm moving into a whole new direction of my life. And at 73, this is what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm taking another step because I'm going to have a lot of people around me, and I just need to get on with it. The other day, I said that I'm only taking 10 people into my program now because I have to finish all of it. Um, for all those who are coming later, and also for the people who are in the program now, who I've been promising so much information and I haven't delivered it yet. So that's why I'm doing this. Now, I know everyone's not going to do this work, but what this work does is it causes you to understand who you are, causes you to live your life purpose, move through your trauma, and start to create a career, a life that is purposeful, that you can manifest the one that you want. That's what happens. And I've had such a long history. Last night, I'm just going to give you all of this because this is how it came about. I'm doing a call with my brothers, and we do this, and it's just so much fun. We were on Zoom probably like 5 hours. But then during that call, what happened was I went to my YouTube channels. I have a couple of other YouTube channels, but what I did was I hide stuff. And there were videos in there that I had not shared with anyone. They were unlisted or private or whatever. And they were about the experiences that I've had and things that I had even forgotten. One was a surgery that I had or didn't have, and but somehow I miraculously healed. I've done many of those things. And this is the kind of work that I want to give to others. When you understand mind body connection and alignment to who you are, you have everything that you want. I could not have told you I was going to be a prophet or was going to do all of these things much earlier. My life was so different. We're looking at all of my old shows. I used to be a performer. I was a singer. I produced shows. I've done so many other things, ran businesses, and then to end up here didn't seem to make sense. But what it's done is that it's healed me. And it's things that are just kind of, beyond belief, as the show that I did, but I want to give it to others. Again, I know that everyone's not going to do it, but I'm not going to be on this planet that long. And so for those people who are going to do it, you're going to be transformed. And that's the only thing I can say. No, no one's going to make you move, but letting go of your old self means moving beyond your fear. So I had a few other things. I just released a channeling session that was done on July 25th of 2021. No one had seen that either. And if you listen to it, it was a long one. It was about an hour and 40 minutes. But if you listen to it, it will explain everything that's happening in our world now, what you might be experiencing, and also why I had to do this work, why I am doing this work. But I'm going to put all that, that's on my YouTube channel. But what I'm going to share here are these private videos that no one has seen. And some of them, you'll hear me mention names in there. You won't know what the names are, but you'll understand the incidents. And that's what I want you to have. We progress in our consciousness over time, but we have to actively decide that we're going to move through the limitations and the blockages to reach a higher state of understanding. And that's the work that I'm doing. And so I'm so thrilled to give it to everyone now. Now, the reason that I would also say you must release your old self. That's an energetic change that you will make. Our world is all energy. And so as we're moving through this split, as a lot of people think of it, we have to up level our energy to a higher state of consciousness, which means love and acceptance of ourselves. And if you study sciences, you'll see how much effect that has on the world. And we will move through many other things that will maybe make that a little challenging, which is why I'm doing this work. And you'll also hear in that video that they talk about the weather that we're having right now and all the things that are going on because they're predictive. We can figure these things out when we choose to. And when we choose to change ourselves and take that next step and let go of our old self, that old self is something that is always limited. When we do that, we have the lives that we want to have. So please enjoy this. Oh, if you're new here, if you've never been here, please subscribe to the channel. I always forget that. That's because I've been hiding out all the time, you see. And so, again, that's going to change real soon. But I want you to get as much understanding and comfort from this work, from these videos that I'll leave for you. And if you're interested, if you're one of those people, if you're one of the 10 that wants to come in, let me know that as well. All right. See you soon. Hey everybody, hope you're well. I am sending this video to everyone, family, friends, everybody I've worked with. And as I said to my friend Cam this morning, this video, you guys can watch it if you want. We'll see what comes out, but I needed to do this for me. I had a really difficult night. Not difficult, but it was long. I was up half the night and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Had a great day yesterday. I'm thinking, you guys may have known about the clips and all of that. And I'm saying, okay, this is really terrific. Maybe great energy is coming. Things are starting to change. Whatever that is. And I had this kind of feeling throughout the entire day. I was on top of the world. I was doing great. Everything felt wonderful. I could see where things were going, even though I'm still in a complete mess in my life. But I said that's for a reason, and I can see where it's going. Then by the evening, I went south. I went so far south, I can't even tell you. It was really depressing. I go, what the hell is happening here? And I just said, just stay with this, and you will figure it out, which always goes on. So I have always known things my entire life. Don't know where they come from. I've just always known them, and they scare me and they freak me out, and I've always denied it. And I know that has gone on. It's gone on since I was a child. I can remember now. I just had this memory recently of having, waking up and having nightmares, seeing things or whatever might have been going on. And then I became really afraid to go back to sleep. And then I started to develop this thing where if I got up and went back to sleep, then I would wake up with a headache. So I stopped sleeping. I mean, just crazy stuff that went on for me. So recently, I'll just do these last things because these are the things that are important. There's synchronicities. There's things that show up that I can no longer ignore and not pay attention to. They've gone through. They've gone on my entire life. But the sequence of events recently have been really a lot. So, after I closed the studio and went completely broke again for the zillionth time and going, what the hell's going on? I can't pay people. I can't do anything, and just so depressed and embarrassed and shamed. And I'm thinking, why is this happening? And then things started to come together. Things started to make sense. I've known my entire life I'm supposed to do something, and I've not been doing it because I've never believed in myself or trusted in myself, and I've been riddled by fear. I've had fear my entire life, and I knew that. And you guys, maybe I've talked about this. My mother always saying that she described me as a child being careful. I knew that she was saying that I was just afraid of everything, and this will make sense in a minute. And but because that's the person who I am, who I was, who I came through, that there's something I'm supposed to do with that, and I've not been fully doing it. I've been doing it to a degree. I know that I've helped a lot of people. I know that I've made a difference in a lot of people's lives, and I know that has gone on, but I don't always trust that because it's so strange to me. And that intangible stuff, it's difficult to explain to people. But a few weeks ago, when I started, I'm going doing my life coaching, doing this whole new direction, and so I'm trying to do anything I can to get to meet people, do clients, and all of that. So I was on this virtual networking group and met this guy Ricky Powell. I talked to some of you about that, and he was a child actor. He was an NBC Universal executive for years and years. We left that. Now he's doing this other stuff, and he's got this great site. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm supposed to help. He's going to show me stuff. And so he was talking to me during this meeting, and then after that, we set up a time to get together and talk. And so I'm really excited. I thought he's the guy that's going to help me move to the next level of my career. He's going to really get me there because he knows everybody. He's been there. Well, when we started talking, I can see that I was there to help him. He was lost in what he was doing. He was drowning. He got to take a job because he didn't know what he was going to do. He knew he had a passion for it, but he didn't know what it was. I started coming up with ideas that are going, why is that happening? Then after that, there were another person that came up just like that as well. But anyway, so a few weeks later, I had my friend Cam, who we have not spoken in years, probably 8, 9 years, probably at least something like that. And to give you reference, Cam was a lady who worked with me as being my publicist and promoting me, and she really always had my back. She always pushed me. It became annoying too because she always wanted things to be done well, and I was always resisting things. I could feel that. But back then, she also had written a book called Magician's Secret, and I read it and all, and it was really great. But that was kind of the extent of it. So when I sent her a message on Facebook and saying happy birthday, she said, "Let's have coffee." And I didn't want to do it actually because I was in such a bad place. I thought she doesn't want to see me like this, but I thought let me go and do it. And then when we had the coffee, and I said, "Oh, here I am again. I'm showing up to meet her," and I'm thinking maybe she's going to help pull me out. Well, in a sense she did, but I thought maybe that's what's going to happen again here. But I also got to see, no, I'm showing up because again I'm supposed to help her. That's what's going on. That's what this collaboration is about. Then jump ahead, and then she sent me the script too. She had written a screenplay of the book now, The Magician's Secret, and then I read that and I was just blown away because it's like, okay, 14 years or 8 years ago, I was not supposed to read it. It wouldn't have made any sense to me. Now it did. And basically, what it was saying, a person who was needing to go in a different direction in their lives and really resisting it, and that was me. And it was just crazy that this was showing up, but it was supposed to show up for me right then. Then another day, someone sends me a message on Facebook, and I know a lot of people think that I pay attention to everything. Well, I do, yeah, because I don't think things happen accidentally. There's a reason for them if we're willing to look and figure it out. And so I get a message on Facebook from this guy who I call my stalker because he follows everything that I do, and he sends me things. I mean, he's not really sent me things. He makes comments and likes things. That's what he's done typically, yeah. But this time he actually sent me a video, and I'm looking at the video, and it's my friend Ananda Lewis. Again, we have not spoken probably 8 or 9 years. And oh wow, Ananda, we were so close then, and but because everything was so crazy the last several years, we didn't. She had changed direction. She had a kid. She was in a relationship. She changed careers. She was being a carpenter and all of that. And the funny thing is, I've had this photo. That photo was behind my desk at the studio forever. Only person, she's the only other person other than my family that I had a photo of, and I'm going, okay, that's there for a reason, and it's been sitting here in my apartment. So I thought, oh, now she sends this guy on Facebook, and now sends me this video. I'm going, why is he sending me this? But I that took me to her YouTube channel, which is Ananda TV, and I'm looking at that. Saw something that she was coming back to TV on HGTV, and I said, terrific. So I said, do I have I had to go and find her email, which I did have, fortunately. I sent her an email, and she was just freaked that I was even contacting her. And she got back to me, and we exchanged emails. She says, we need to talk. And so we had coffee, and then again, I thought, well, maybe she's got something going. She says, I want to show you something. I'm thinking, oh, she's the person who's going to show me something to move forward. She's got something for me when she saw the new work that I was doing. And so when we got to meet, again, it's like, no, I'm there for her. She's making transitions in her life too, and she's doing this whole thing, and I'm thinking, I'm supposed to work with her on that. That's where we are right now, to really starting to figure out and create something moving forward. It just keeps going. Then after that, I get an email from this group called Begin to Heal, which is this website where they have all these counselors and it's holistic counselors basically in every kind of medium you can think of. It's whether it's counseling, life coaching, nutrition, fitness, exercise, all that stuff. They look at the site as holistic. They have over 200 people there, and I thought this is great. Maybe this is the place that I'm finally supposed to be now, and this is they're finding me and they're coming to me. And so I sent an email back, said yes, I'd like to be about what you guys are, and I'll join. And so the founder of it, Pooja is her name, and she sends me an email, and then we had a telephone call, and she says, well, let's set up a session. And she says, what we always do with our practitioners is we do a test session with them first, just, before we put them on. And I said, great. So we set that up for the next day. And she says, well, the staff is out. Usually I have the staff do it, but she says, I want to talk to you because I have something I want to talk about. So in that instant, I knew that she actually wanted to do a session. And so we got on Zoom the next day, and that was exactly what it was. And I'm thinking, I'm going into this place where I'm thinking they're going to be my conduit to the next level, and I am saying, no, I'm supposed to help you. She's overwhelmed with what she's doing. She doesn't realize what she's created. I've been there, and I know what she's done. She's got a really brilliant platform, but she doesn't know what's going on. She also has her husband, who is this investment banker, has nothing want. I mean, he supports her, but he doesn't have anything to do with this. He doesn't really believe or know what she's up to. I said, yeah, I know that one really well, and I said, I'm going to help you. I'm here. I'm going to be of service. So let's do something together. Let's figure this out. And so I sent her an email, and so we'll talk again. But again, it just showed me that everything I've ever done, as some of you know, I talked about weeks ago when I went over my life with Philip, where I realized that everything I'd done in my life was about moving me to a place of leadership. But it was always for helping other people, and I just didn't own that or really get what that meant. But what I really didn't get is how valuable that was, because I never thought about the money. That's why I've screwed up so much. That's why I owe people money. That's why I've screwed up so many things in that regard, because I didn't put all of this together. So then last night, I just crazy how this happens. I picked up a folder. I'm doing work here. I was going to try to do some scripts that I have to do for my partner Jeff, and I was trying to get to that, and I don't know, other things were going on. So I pick up this folder, and there is nothing accidental to me that goes on in the universe. There's a reason for it. I have this one folder, and I've written tons of them. Over the years, I have volumes and volumes of stuff that I've written. If I could sit down and edit all of this, I've had books that I could, you know, be on the bestseller list many, many times over. However, I picked up this one folder that says August 2005. I have no idea what the hell was going on in August, but it was obviously a pivotal point in my life. I've always known what's going on. Now, my partner Jeff, just to give you a sense of this, years later, Jeff said we should do a webinar on fear, which we did. We recorded it, I wrote it, and we put it there. And I don't know why he brought it up. I don't know if I mentioned something or if he came up with the idea. But in 2005, I wrote this. I have a list of, I did a lot of writing at way in the middle of the night all the time during 2005. I have no idea why. And then I wrote down things I'm afraid of. I have a list of 19 things. My first one's that the headaches won't go away. And as I go through the rest of this folder, I remember very vividly that 2005 was the time that I no longer wanted to live because I could not handle these headaches anymore. I mean, I'm up all night. And it's hard to for anybody to understand what these are like unless you've gone through them. Even with Gibran. Gibran's here. I know what he's going through. He doesn't believe I do because he will be in pain, and I go, oh yeah, I understand. He goes, no, you don't know what this is like. Now I found the evidence because I wrote it and I went through it, but that's thankfully when they did end as I worked through things. But the headaches won't go away, that the headaches will impact my show. I was worried about anything that I was doing, that I won't be able to let go of smoking and marijuana. I've been struggling with that. I knew forever that I'm just trying not to hear anything. Let me see how many drugs I can do so maybe everything will go away and I won't know what I'm supposed to be on the earth to do in a certain way. So everything that I came up about money, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid about my relationships, I'm afraid about being alone, I'm afraid about everything. And so that I said that when Gibran showed up, I could see that he was showing me all of these things. The whole fact that one day he pulls out this folder and pulls out writings that I did in 1983 and threw them at me and said, hey, catch up. He didn't know what it was, and I looked at those writings, and I was writing things about law of attraction and all of these things in 1983, and then I put it away. I just stopped. It was astonishing to me that was there. Anyway, so I get that my thing is about working through fear. Even my fear of doing this video, even my fear of talking about all this stuff is exactly what's held me back and not allowed me to be the person that I was supposed to be. And I've known that for a long time. So that's why I said this is kind of over now. I mean, the things that I wrote, truth and healing, these are all the things, and I don't know why this particular folder. But the biggest part of this was the dreams. I don't particularly dream that much, especially now in the last years. I don't remember. But in 2005, I was doing it all the time. I was getting up in the middle of the night and writing all this stuff down. And the one that was the most astonishing for me, which makes the most sense now, was the one which some of you I've sent to, where I was the dreams that the appearance of that I was sit there were several spiritual leaders in a group sitting in a circle, and someone asked, would you volunteer, would you do something, and it was like I volunteered and ran forward to do it. And then I thought, why did I do that? I mean, the whole thing went on with that, and I wrote all of this out 4:30 in the morning, sometime August of 2005. I see, and then I seem to be in a conflict in a conflict of whether or not I will continue to listen and be open without the pain, or will go back to my old ways, which was sort of the indication with me running into an old friend of mine, that I have to either be that old person or decide to step into my new life. Well, in 2005, that's how long I've been struggling with all figuring all of this stuff out. Um, then my high school reunion. That was this weekend. My 50th high school reunion. And I had told them months ago that I was going to be there, and they were all looking forward to seeing me. And because I'm such in such a and I could have probably, there was something that said, no, maybe I'm not supposed to be, maybe I'm not going. I said I was going, but I never bought a ticket. Back when, months and months ago, when I actually had some money, now I couldn't have done it if I wanted to. But when I had some money, I didn't buy the ticket, and I wondered why I was hesitating. Because again, I do things and I don't know why, but I do know that I'm doing it for a reason. And so then I got overwhelmed with just such sadness yesterday, because I was seeing pictures on Facebook, and my friend Zandra was my best friend forever. They were so disappointed that I wasn't there. My friend Leslie, just, I haven't seen you in 50 years, you're not coming. This was so painful, but I thought, no, there's something that I knew I was supposed to be here for, even though it was really horrible last night. But when I got up this morning and saw all of this, I knew that I needed to be in this place so that I could start to own who I was and move forward. Then I go back to, I do all of this morning, I write all this stuff, and I go to Facebook again, and that same guy who sent me the video of Ananda sent me another video. And this time it was Martin Luther King. Now, I have felt in my life that there's something important I'm supposed to do. I've always felt that. I've not been doing it because I've been too scared out of my wits to go about that, but I've always felt that. And so for some reason, arbitrarily, he would say, he sends me this video, and it's called I Didn't Sneeze. He was speaking about the time where he was stabbed by this deranged woman, and the way that the knife went into his heart, it was really an inch, a fraction of a place away from his aorta. So if that had happened, he would have been dead. So he made this speech about it. It was the last speech that he gave. It was before he was assassinated. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this, and I just started to bawl like crazy. I remembered, okay, you're supposed to do something too. Now, there's a reason that I almost died several times in my life, and I flash back to that. I mean, the first time when I was like, what, 13 years old, 12 years old, I'm almost drowning. And then back later when I was like 25, when I'm really fighting against things, I'm in the hospital, and I almost hemorrhaged to death. I'm like, and then there are other times later, but I'm thinking, if you're if you're still here, maybe there's something you're supposed to do. It became so apparent. But there's so many other things, and I have documents, and I just don't need to put all of them here. But I just needed to do this video so that I would not forget these momentous things that all kind of occurred in this way, and it's all making sense now. When I was with this, I'm talking to Pooja, he began to heal, and I'm speaking about who I am, and I know now that I have what I'm going to do and what's going to take me to that place. It'll make me a lot of money and do and leave my legacy or whatever the hell that is, or at least move me to the next place. Is for me to finish this program. I got a very clear vision of what I want this to be, and as I'm talking to her, I said, I get. I can see the app that I want it to be. Somebody's going to create this. I know that what it could be, but something that gives people the ability to look at their lives and look at what's going on for them and pick up this thing and say, I'm having this difficulty. Let me figure out and get some help on how to deal with that. Right there, just have it with them. And I know that that's possible. We'll see how it goes, but I've written it all. It just has to be put in form. And so what has really gone on, especially I talked to you about the thing that happened with Rita, when I gave her one of the processes that I used, and that I created, and she got such great results from it, and she doesn't really use this stuff, and I thought there's really something there. And then yesterday it was so funny. I had placed, just arbitrarily, I did one of my processes, and I sent some of you an email about this. I placed one of my processes on Facebook, and people were like really responded to it, and I just did a little short video. It wasn't that long. It was just about how to have a happy childhood, which is basically going back and looking at your life and taking the things that have gone on and finding the value in all of them, which I have to do all the time. And this one lady, Phyllis, who was my brother's girlfriend back in high school, says, Thank you. I really got a lot out of them. I'm going to share it with my kids." It was just something in those moments that tells me I'm supposed to be doing something and I ain't doing it, and so maybe now it's time. And I just really have. And again, oh, there was one more thing. They just keep showing up. So I go into Instagram. People have been responding to that. I write stuff that I have no clue as to where it's coming from. I do know where it's coming from, but I haven't trusted it. And I go to Instagram, and it says they give you message notices. It said this post is doing 80% better than any of your other posts. And I go, why is that? And so I look at it, and first of all, it's a photo of me. That's there. That not a lot of the others are just stock photos, so they're not always of me. But this one was me. And then I went to read the message. Why is this doing so well? And it says, this will be a radically different approach to the way you have come to think of the idea of trust. You thought you were attempting to develop trust, but in actuality, you were seeking to eliminate the need for the development of trust. When you have no need for trust, then you no longer feel vulnerable to anything, and that state of existence is the feeling of empowerment you have sought. When you do not feel the need to develop trust, then you know that you have also established faith in yourself. You know that whatever comes your way, you can handle, overcome it, or use it in some manner for your highest good. Now, the grand prize you discover is that you have come to trust yourself. Okay, so that showed up today. And the other thing that I knew that, like I said, this whole thing with Gibran and Rita and all of that, there was something going on there. So I go to Facebook a couple days ago, their pictures come up. I go, okay, that means something. Then today it was just Gibran there in the front, because I said I know that because he was here, it's opened me up to all this stuff, and a lot of it had to do with the weed, like me being willing to not be, leave this planet and be conscious. And so the picture that came up on Facebook was when we drove up to Seattle. We're standing there right in Seattle in this big weed shop. That's what the photo is. And I go, yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect for me to see that right now. But anyway, that's what's going on, and also to see where his transition says that this is all going in completely the right place. I have no idea how I'm pulling all this together. I have a meeting with this guy tomorrow, who is another motivational person. We'll see what we kind of collaborate with. I don't know, but I just know that I have to do the work. I know the focus now. I know that this thing that I have to create, because there's no more excuses. This is my voice that I have to leave. And that's where I am. And the other thing is, and Cam has to get her project out there, and we're doing some things with that. I know that her thing is supposed to happen now too. That's why we came back together. I know that Ananda is going to do something as well, because that's why she's really looking to move her life forward now, and that's why I'm here. And so I got to step up to the place. I had forgotten who I was as a leader, because I've been beaten down by me all of these years. So, okay, I'm going to stop doing that now. Thanks for listening. This video is about 30 years in the making, but today I decided I had to do it. I'm always talking about personal development because it's what I've been doing my entire life. And I've gotten my information or my training or knowledge or whatever it might be from a lot of different sources. And I try to bring that together in a way that makes it practical for everyone else. What I'm trying to do is offer something that has helped me and give it to other people to help them to become authentic, to own who they are, to accept every single aspect of their life. But I haven't done that completely because there's one little area. It was not a little area, it was a pretty big area to me that happened in my life that I hadn't been willing to share because I still carry around this fear, this judgment. Now, what I always try to help my clients and everyone that I work with try to understand is that you've got to let go of that stuff. You've got to accept every experience that you've had because there's some value there. Even if you don't know what it is right now, there is value there for you. Now, what happened for me back in 1983, that's why this is where this started. It ended in 98, but back in 1983, I had a couple of friends who decided that they had received a Ouija board and they decided to start to do that. Now, I know when I say Ouija board, some of you are going to go crazy. That's the devil. That's all kinds of things because we form all kinds of beliefs about what comes through. A lot of people have certain ideas about religion and how crazy all of that is. My idea is this: I try to take information from wherever it comes from. I don't care the source. I want to know, does it resonate for me? Is it going to help me improve my life in some way? If that is the case, then I'm going to accept that information. This is why I've studied so many different religions, because I always find something in there. I won't agree with everything, but I will find something. There's an element of truth, and you know what resonates for you because you feel it. It feels real for you. So what started to happen when we started doing this Ouija board, it was just fun. We thought it was just a game. Then all of a sudden, what started to happen is that words would start to come through as we were doing the board. Now, I wasn't doing it. These two guys were doing it because they had some sort of connection that we could not figure out, but all of a sudden, words started coming through. Now, over about 5 years, this progressed. We ended up documenting volumes of information. Now, years ago, I was talking about this to someone, and I realized where I shut down because they said, if this really happened, why didn't you guys ever publish it? Well, because people would think we were crazy. Think people would start to have a lot of judgment about that. They would think we made it up. And I will tell you to this day, I have shown people these messages and they read them and they're like blown away. And they said they could not possibly have been dictated that way. Well, I was there. I was the one doing the transcribing, so I know that it occurred. So I wanted to share a little bit of one because a lot of these messages that would come through directed at me, I would be yelled at a lot. I wouldn't listen. I was very stubborn because I was afraid a lot of the time, which is also what makes me a good coach because I see all of this in other people because I've gone through it. Now, but this part I have never shared. So this was back in this particular message. Let me just try to show you. We would get, as I said, I just want you to see some of them we would type, and so we have volumes and volumes of information, but they were all transcribed. I would write them down first. But let me read this one. Roger asked, we would ask questions. The entity's name that came through was Kira. There was no sexuality. We just felt it was a female entity, but it didn't matter. But that's how we felt. And she was really hysterical a lot of times, and she would kind of yell at us. And you'll see that what went on for me. So this was May of 1988, and this is when all of this ended. Now, after it ended in 1988, and it ended because one of the persons that were doing the using the board, they passed away, unfortunately. So everything just stopped. We could never find that connection again. But what happened in 1988, after this ended, then I started at the end of 1988 doing what's called automatic writing or channeling. Now, I guess that started to come through because I was accepting of that there is information that we can find outside of ourselves if we are willing to do that and don't cut ourselves off with our own judgment about what it might be. So I asked the question, general personal overview of his present direction. Now, understand at this time I was performing a lot. That was my life. And this was the answer that I received. Your effusiveness Your effusive enthusiasm for living life is proving to be fertile ground for unlimited creativity, to boundless forms, and your and you deserve the recognition that will certainly be yours. Certain because you have centered in the certainty of your own intrinsic beauty and worth. If there is an area of your experience that needs filling out, as it were, it is something I have referred to before: the spontaneous generosity of interest in the needs and experiences of others. Mind you, I understand that the amount of self absorption is essential for your career ambitions, encouraged by me. But outside of your performing interests, there remains a slightly peremptory attitude toward human beings who would have your ear for sympathy, for counsel, for companionship. Nevertheless, than personable, still, you are often glib and glossy where more genuine attention should be paid. What she's referring to here is that I was out being this performer, and at the same time I had started doing coaching. I had started doing life coaching, but she's telling me I didn't quite go far enough. I would stop. And then when I felt this, I actually kind of stopped coaching for a little while. Because of that, I realized that it goes on a little bit more. But then towards the end, I needed some clarification. I said, I wanted to know clarification on how the above related to his counseling work, my counseling work, which I had started to do. And then she says, now, it was not my intent to cast aspersions on what you have accomplished in counseling, in singing, in your personal life. I only meant to point out the place where you suddenly stop, pull back, and draw down an invisible wall between you and your subject, usually just before reaching an emotional epiphany. It is a natural function of the pussyfoot ego, and nothing to beat yourself up over the head with. But how much more genuinely helpful your counsel would be, how moving your singing, how life transforming your relationships, if this barrier could be penetrated with love and benevolent confidence. That's what I've worked on for 30 years. Those words meant so much to me, and I got to sit and look at that, and so I devoted my life to changing all of that. Anyway, the whole point of this video is that I had to own this because I realized that I was saving this information. I have taken so much of this. I would take these messages and the information from them. I would use them in my performances. I would use them when I would counsel people in my coaching all the time. But the other part of it, and this is, I could not live with this anymore, I would tell everyone else, and I'm telling you, own what's happened. Own every experience that you have. As crazy as it might seem to you, there is some value there or you would not have had it. I cannot say that enough. And I could not live with myself anymore saying this to you if I wasn't doing it myself. And that's why I did this video. I hope that this kind of opens your thinking into accepting information, no matter where it comes from, if it resonates or it feels right for you. And if we take down some of those walls, then we can create whatever we want in our lives. Hope that helps you. Thanks. It's 3:17 in the morning, and I have to record this because I can't sleep. I don't know if I will ever sleep again. First of all, I want to thank all of you for going on this journey with me. I was speaking to Rita yesterday, and she said to me, don't talk to people about this. And I said, no, you don't understand. I have to talk about it. Otherwise, I will lose my mind or hurt myself, probably. And I can see things in such a different way now, and I've known this all of my life, and it's really difficult. It's hard for me to grasp the enormity of what I might accomplish if I were to accept who I have always been, and that's been really difficult. And the only way I can come to do that is to keep talking about it, and I've actually used all of you to that degree. So thank you again for listening. You don't need to respond or say anything. I just really have to do this. So in this video, I'm also going to attach some videos that I just heard because this is how my life works. I woke up in the morning. I mean, I tried to go to sleep. I did took melatonin and valerian and I can't because I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And then the fact that Gibran isn't here, which is also very unusual, um, tells me this is what's supposed to be happening right now. Thank God for Terry yesterday, because I did call him, who I could reach and maybe not feel, quite as crazy. And I know all this time people look at me and think you're just a crazy person, even when people said maybe you need to see a therapist. I have known forever that that's not true. This has been leading up for so long. I mean, there's a video in here that I even shared with my brothers a few days ago, which I didn't know why I was doing that. Now it's very clear, and I'll put that here as well. And also, I talked about the folder I've been carrying around. I didn't even know why. This folder with all of these writings, and they're back when I first began. And I'm going to read a little bit of one, which is from 1989. And the thing was, my friend Guy, I think I told you this, and Guy sent me that email about a guy he wanted me to listen to. He says because he felt that this guy could help me, and I got what does that mean? And I thought, you've been denying this forever, and I am the one who's supposed to help. I sat here yesterday with I did two clients online, and I saw very clearly who I'm supposed to be as a person. There's nothing that gives me more joy than to work with people and to help them realize who they're supposed to be, and whether it's singing or whatever it is. And that's who I am, but it's difficult because it doesn't make any sense. And let me just read a little bit of this one. This is April the 8th of 1989. You are indeed making great progress, even if you think progress itself is something that can be measured. Remember, your journey here is about experience. So, to the degree you allow yourself to experience, to that degree you are progressing. You have learned how difficult it is for you to come to any accurate conclusions about the experiences you do have and the overall effect these experiences have on yourself and others. Therefore, you would find more joy and less anxiety if you can momentarily suspend your judgment of these events. You are opening yourself to a new realm of experiences and to deliver and to deliver into them with a kind of excitement and childlike innocence will allow you to view and experience much more than you could imagine. This issue of trusting yourself does flare up for you still. However, the difference is your awareness of this and your ever increasing ability to find the appropriate affirmation to help you move beyond self doubt. Enjoy and celebrate this day. I wrote this in 1989, and I have made everybody else that I've listened to, Abraham, every other person, every other guide, much more powerful, knowing everything than I couldn't even look at this folder. I didn't understand why I was carrying it around because a part of me didn't want to see it. And when I sent that email yesterday, I can't even explain to you why I had to do that. I was literally feeling sick because it started from I just got a text from Travis and asking for $150 maybe if I had it. Not a big deal. And I went into this place where no, I don't have it. And why am I in this place? I've said this forever, that I have always known that I'm supposed to be incredibly wealthy, but I'm not going to do that unless I can own who I'm supposed to be in this world. And it's been scary because I fear judgment so much. And so as I was attempting to explain to Rita yesterday why I keep talking about it and using you guys, I can't go out to the public if I have not fully accepted and embodied who I'm supposed to be. And that's really what this is about. Yes, I'm going to write and all of that, but I also know that it's about speaking. A couple of weeks ago, everything just terrifies me. A couple of weeks ago, Gibran told me that a friend of his heard my video on higher self and became so obsessed with what he was hearing. He said that he felt like I was speaking to him in a particular way. And this is somebody that I've met, but he, a while ago. And so those kinds of things, I push back when I hear that. And, for years and years, listen, if I could have smoked weed or stayed high so I didn't hear anything, that would have been a brilliant thing. That would have been safer. But when you listen, if you don't have to listen to any of this, but if you listen to the videos that I'm attaching, it might make sense to you because I'm being called forth. I don't completely know and understand it, but I do know this is who I'm supposed to be. And again, I'm going to writing and doing all of that because I can't sleep, so I might as well stay up. And but I had to do this, and part of even sending out the email helps me to kind of accept it. After, as I said in the email yesterday, just writing that moved me into a little different place. But there's some huge thing that I've always felt I was supposed to do, and it doesn't make sense. It seems, because I feel so insignificant, that it's hard for me to wrap my head around that. And I'm taking baby steps into it. I've written that before. In one of the videos that I'll attach, you'll hear where they talk about a crossroad, where you come to a place in your life where you have to make a decision about who you're going to be. I wrote that very same thing, which I shared with my brothers. I wrote it in 2016. I've been writing it for years and years. And I just know that what I'm supposed to do is use this to help a lot of other people. Okay, goodbye. Roger's been hearing this message all morning and felt compelled to put it on video because it's a further step in his integration, as he sent an audio recording of this some time ago. But he felt it would be more important or vital for him to actually see the video, and eventually he might be able to even open his eyes as he becomes even more comfortable with what is coming through. Now, when we are speaking as we, that is because it is easier for him and you to receive the information. In 1988 is when he began to call us Wilhelm. He remembers quite distinctly in those moments that he heard something which he had always heard in his life, but this time it became more vivid and apparent in his consciousness. And he asked us the question, "Who are you?" We said very clearly to him, which he remembers like it was yesterday, "We are a part of you, but if it's difficult for you to accept that, please give us any name that you would like." And that name came out to be Wilhelm. Now, please understand that sometimes as he's doing this, especially right now, because it's so uncomfortable for him, he starts to speak really quickly. That's because he's so afraid of losing his connection and allowing his egoic mind to get back involved. And that happens occasionally, and it even happens in his meditations. When we speak to him during his meditations and the writings that he does, we speak to him in the first person because it's not necessary to do this particular format. Now, as he's moving out into the world and deciding to take this particular gift, which he's bemoaned forever, and decide to turn it into something that is useful and that can help others, then we will then speak in the first person. He will come into this soon, as he knows that he will. This process has been occurring for him for many, many years. Now, in 1988 is when he first gave it a name. That's when he decided to call us Wilhelm. He remembers very distinctly that in that moment, as he was writing and deciding to do what he calls automatic writing, he asked the question, "Who is speaking to me?" We said to him very clearly, "This is another part of you, but if that is uncomfortable for you, then you can call us whoever you like." And that name popped into his head, Wilhelm, and that's who he's been. Now, he has done this in his entire life. Just recently, he found evidence, even of his writings back in 1983, that this has been going on. But that wasn't even the beginning. The beginning was far before that. It's been as long as he's been alive. This is very uncomfortable for him still, but he's coming into alignment with it so that he he can use it as he intended for the greater good of not only himself, but everyone else. He has always known that his greater tendency is to do that for others, and in the process, he's neglected himself. He's coming to the awareness that he's got to now, or wants to now, take care of himself more, and that's where he continually struggles. Yesterday, he was having a conversation with his brothers, and one brother talked about studying his religious studies and beginning to talk in tongues. Now, that gave Roger, actually, surprisingly, a little more confidence and ability to give us this voice and also the visual of this to come through. None of you know for sure what is a reality or what you can call a reality, so you're always making it up. But because you're making it up, you also find it hard to believe whatever you have made up. That's what he has done. He is attempting to put this into a form that he can use for not only his good, but that of all others. Months ago, years ago, he said, practice channeling. And that is exactly what he's attempting to do right now. We are recording this video as Wilhelm speaking through Roger, and we are doing that because it's much easier to bypass Roger's normal consciousness and overstep his biases, of which there are many. But this was prompted by his catalyst, Gibran, who sent him a message and caused him to become a little upset, which is a perfect thing because sometimes your anger will awaken you to who you're supposed to be in this life. And Roger has never owned that completely, and which is why the catalyst of Gibran came into his life to open up all these different areas. So it's truly a wonderful thing. Now, the first thing that happened was he told him that Roger was wrong about how he's feeling about what's going on in this particular pandemic. Now, the information we've been giving Roger is that the pandemic is for everyone, and most people don't understand, humans do not understand the process of evolution and how you all are really integral parts of that, meaning there's no right or wrong in this. And so when you find yourself attempting to make someone else wrong with their beliefs, it might be that you're not really satisfied or stable in yours, which is exactly what Roger has lived. He can remember in his younger days where he needed to be right about so many other things, and he cut himself off from information that was available to him because of that. And you all do that. We led him to studying history, which he had never done before, but we led him last year miraculously. He couldn't understand why he was doing it, but he started studying history. He started seeing how humans repeat certain behaviors. Why do you do that? You do that because you evolve. The way that you evolve is that you change. You change individually, and that individual change is then added to the collective. The collective changes and always becomes more. In each iteration of this collective, what happens is you each become more yourselves, and you each become more whole. And the wholeness that you have always sought is that of everyone, not just you individually. So this particular pandemic is going to bring you a lot of information that's going to finally move you into the area, the age of Aquarius, if all of you have been known to think of for years and years and years, but now you're starting to see it. And the age of Aquarius has meant that you become more humane. You become more in looking at other people rather than just yourself, but that's not going to happen. The other information that we have given Roger, which he was unwilling to talk about, is that this particular transition that you are all moving through is going to become a little more difficult before it gets better, but that is what you always do. You've done it in your lives, and you do it as humanity. You make things really challenging so that you can make a choice. So divergent, different conflicts are purposeful because it gives you the opportunity to choose who you are, to choose who you want to be. Now, Roger has never been able to choose anything else. His whole purpose in living is to be of service service, is to be helpful. Now, he did judge himself for the better part of his life for having done that because others saw him and couldn't understand his behavior and judged him for that as well. Hence, Gibran. Why would he have been here except that it is Roger's nature and he felt his mission to help open up things for himself? It wasn't about Gibran. He knew that he needed something to shift him out of this holding pattern which he's been in, which all of you have been in. And this conjunction, as you've all seen, is about doing that. We led Roger to another idea about the harmonic convergence. We were trying to get him to understand he resisted who he was supposed to be for years, for decades, actually. And that was a time in 1987 where he was given a message which he still did not understand until just recently. We're saying this because you need to understand that awareness is an ever-growing thing. And so you don't learn it individually unless you look at what you've been doing and start to make a change, and you don't learn it as humanity. We had Roger miraculously see a video last night about the pandemic of 1918. So we're talking 102 years ago, and humans are still having the same exact behaviors. Yes, the virus is real. You have them all the time. You've had them for eons. And the purpose of them is to cause you to change. Your DNA does change. No one is injecting it. It is you who are doing it, and you're doing it collectively. That is the entire point, which is what was meant to be awakened during this time. However, it will be a bit more challenging because most people are not going to pay attention. Roger has not paid attention, so he knows that. He knows that the resistance, when you don't know where you're going, becomes much greater, and so does the fear. Roger knows that what is happening in the world now is that many people are afraid. So he's not going to buy into that fear, but he's going to offer his excellence in understanding what is going on. It's 7:30 in the morning, and I had to record this message now because if I didn't, I would talk myself out of it, as Mel Robbins always says we do. She's the woman who wrote the 5-second rule, and as I thought about this morning, one of the first things that I saw was a post from her on Instagram, which I'll also share here, because this is the kind of stuff that goes on for me all the time, and I've been really afraid of it, and it's a thing that has always held me back. I'll tell the story quickly. Yesterday, I went to the doctor, as many of you know, to have the vein work done that I've been going through, and I had last week the procedure, which my brother took me to, went through this whole thing. I thought the procedure had been done. After that, I come home and I'm feeling like a brand new person. I'm practically running because I'm feeling I'm walking so much better. And I thought when I have the next one done, which was yesterday, I will be even better than that. And so I go in yesterday to have the procedure done and find out that the procedure last week was never performed. And I sat there in a state of shock, and I'm going, how could this be happening? Because beyond me feeling differently about it, my nurse also saw that the wound on my foot, which is the reason that we were doing this, was healing. It was healing quicker than what it had before. How could that have been happening? I know that we all have the ability to do this, but I don't believe it, and I've been holding back, and it's the reason that I always screw myself up, that I don't have money, and everything is going on because I have to move beyond this place. And then yesterday, as I'm in the hospital going through all of this, I'm in this state I couldn't really talk to anyone. I saw that my friend Rob had called. He didn't leave a message. I will call you, Rob, but I saw that it happened. Rob, since the early 90s, has been on my case to move forward, and I never do it. And I have now decided that I can't do this anymore. One of the reasons is because I fear judgment, and people are going to think I'm crazy, but this is my life. So I'm going to include the message that came through this morning. It's exactly as I hear things all the time, and it's what I wrote. And also, there was a video that came up that right away this morning, because I listen to videos every morning before I do my meditation, and I don't think this was accidental as well, because it's talking about money and how I've been holding myself back, and I will starve myself to death if I don't move forward. And that's what this is all about. And so I'm sending this to everyone. I'm blind copying everyone. You don't have to respond, but it's just that I have to move beyond the shame that my ego has allowed me to hold on to so that I could be a better messenger to the rest of the world, because I know that's what I'm supposed to do. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Good morning, everyone. I'm filming here from Florianopolis, which is in the south of Brazil. Woke up to watch the sunrise and to chat with you guys. I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the experience that I have had with Roger Burnley's live coaching calls. That's Roger Burnley's live coaching calls. Guys, it is an experience which I feel privileged to have had, and that is why I am recording this testimonial. My journey started 2 months ago when I received an email from Roger, and being familiar with his other work and the quality of the results that he produces, I was not hesitant to check it out. I checked it out, and to make a to summarize, I ended up enrolling in the course, and in hindsight, that was one of the, and if not the best investments I've made in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a truly, I don't have the words to explain to you guys. It was an opportunity I'm so lucky to not have passed on. Before the coaching calls, I was a person who felt very lost in a foreign culture, living in Brazil at the moment, far from my family, not having my family support networks, etc., etc. My father had also passed away recently, and I just felt all around lost, undefined, and not knowing what I wanted in life, having to follow everyone's orders, having to follow the status quo to get by, not living my true potential. Then I started the course. I thought that yes, I would experience results once again because I am familiar with Roger's work. But what happened was nothing short of miraculous. In the space of 2 months, I experienced immense results. I went from all those things being lost and undefined to knowing exactly what I wanted professionally, knowing my deepest desires, and having discovered things about myself that I could not discover on my own. And no one can. I mean, discovering the things I discovered, you need someone with the know-how, with the experience, with this type of work. Someone who is there to guide you every step of the way, someone who has accomplished their dreams and their goals, someone like Roger. I now, after just 2 months, have companies approaching me. I have companies approaching me for work. I used to be someone who was very timid and shy, scared to talk to people, very socially anxious. That's practically gone. I could never talk to women in the past. Now I have many females involved in my life, and it's just awesome, and it feels good. It feels good. My life at this moment is in a space which feels good, thanks to Roger's life coaching call lessons. Guys, it is not only an experience which I would recommend, but would actually urge people not to pass on. It is beautiful. You will grow. You will discover things which you never thought were inside of you. You will conquer things which you never thought you could conquer. So yes, maybe this is a series of videos that I will make tracking my progress, and it's also just a thank you to Roger. Thank you, Roger Burnley, for your work. Thank you. Peace out, everyone. Have a good day.